Hey guys, welcome to the Paint with Lovejoy website. This is the place for first-time and beginners to get comfortable with the painting process. If you have never painted, I am definitely the teacher for you. I will give you permission to play, to create with your hands, and I do consider this adult kindergarten, where you get to make memories with yourself or with loved ones. And you will notice that creative time is something that you will reference for the rest of your life. I do encourage you to send me photos of your paintings. And when you're done with my YouTube videos, please check out my Paint Your Pet course for even more in-depth and kind of my signature class. It's a lot of fun. Before we get started, I want to say thank you for being you. And I also want to give you permission to play today. I'm going to encourage that you take a lot of progress photos, and I do recommend that you turn off your distractions. Put your phone on mute. Please know that mistakes will happen. We call them happy accidents. And I'm going to encourage you to breathe throughout the painting process. Here are your recommended supplies and the colors for this particular video. This video also has a traceable, a line drawing at the beginning, and you can either purchase the traceable and transfer, or you can pause the video and draw it freehand, whichever you feel comfortable doing. Again, progress photos are important, and I'm going to encourage that you pause and play the video as much as you need and rewatch anything that you want. Now let's go ahead and get started painting. All right, guys, so another fun painting. Do grab that first progress photo, and we're going to be using a flat brush and probably a smaller flat brush or smaller or medium flat brush. And we're going to start with a mixture of white with a little bit of yellow. And given today's painting, we do have a lot of tight spaces that we will be working in. So I want you to kind of play with your brush pressure, and I want you to take your time. So we're going to start kind of at that horizon line with the yellow and white, kind of imagining this is where the sun is setting, or possibly this could be a sunrise. And if you happen to go over your traceable lines, completely okay. I am going to recommend that you do apply your paint a little bit thicker. And if you're a little nervous right now, remember to breathe. Just the fact that you showed up and you're going through this process, even if you're just watching the video for the first time, you're already successful just by taking those steps. So be proud of yourself and enjoy this painting process. All right, so we've kind of got the lighter color on there. Now we're going to grab some of that direct yellow, a little bit darker, and I'm going to just kind of put that in a few areas, almost like little highlights, little accents on top of some of the lighter yellow. It's a good place to pause the video, take a progress photo. You're going to clean your brush really good, and we're going to move into our second color. And that's going to be white with a little bit of red. And a small amount of red will go a long way to make a light pink. And it's easier to start with a lighter shade and add a little more pigment like I'm doing here, compared to starting really dark red and trying to work backwards. So even if this is your first painting, just trying to build some good habits with your color mixing for you. So we're going to take that mixture, and again, if it's a little darker or lighter than mine, totally okay. I decided to make mine a little bit lighter, so on the edge, I added more white, and that's called perimeter mixing. So I made a lighter pink, but I left a little bit darker pink on the other side of the pile, and we utilize that a little bit later. And like I was saying earlier, your colors do not have to match what you see on screen. You have full permission to switch these out. If you want to do a solid blue afternoon sky and different colored rock formations, please change this, make it your own. Basically, just have fun with the process and use this tutorial as just a simple guideline. So whatever shade of light pink that you used, we're adding a little bit more pigment, going 2 shades darker. And just like the yellow, putting a few little accents, little highlights on there that overlap some of the yellow and even overlap some of the light pink. Another good spot to take a progress photo, clean that brush, and we're going to move into light blue. Same thing, start with the white, a little bit of blue is going to go a long way to make a light blue. And we're going to repeat the same formula that we did with the other 2 colors. We're going to lay this light base down first, then we'll add a little bit darker blue on top of it. Now, as you're adding this lighter blue, and if you happen to overlap the pink, you may have a little bit of purple that shows up. Don't fight it. It actually looks good to have that in your sky, and just kind of play with that color transition between the pink and the blue as you overlap the shade. This is one of the fun parts about blending paint. And again, pause the video as much as you need to. If you want to hang out and work on your sky longer than I'm doing here in the video, please do that. So here you can see we're doing the same thing, adding a little bit more blue to our mixture and going about 2 shades darker than what you just used for the light blue. And same thing, we're going to fill up that sky, play with those shades and colors, play with where the lighter blue and the darker blue overlap, play with your pressure. If you could see the texture of the canvas, I'm going to recommend that you apply your paint a little bit thicker. You can also add a little bit of water to it, but I would rather you learn to get comfortable with thicker paint and blending that way rather than water your paint. When you water down your paint, you're getting closer to watercolors, and you might as well just go into watercolors that way compared to using acrylic paint. So here we've got the sky pretty much filled in. I'm going to go back with some darker, put some accent colors on there. You have permission to change and add anything that you want. If you want to go back to the pinks or the yellows, or if you want to put some other colors in your sky, go ahead and do everything that you want now on your background while the sky colors are wet. And again, play with that pressure of the brush. Light pressure will keep a little bit smoother brush strokes. A little more pressure creates a little bit more of that painterly brushstroke look. And when you're done with your sky, pause that video, take a progress photo. Here I'm going to go red and purple. We're going to start moving into some of the rock formations, kind of leading out to our horizon line. Still using that flat brush. And if you're finding that you don't really like the flat brush, please feel free to switch over to a pointy brush. Now, as we do this, I want you to pause the video as much as you need to. You're going to stop and observe the shapes that I make. And again, it does not have to be an exact shape for what you see on screen, just kind of the general area, the general shape that it's making. And when you do this, you are strengthening your power of observation. And this is a great life skill to actually strengthen. So as you look at the video and kind of reference the shape and recognize it with your brain and your eyeballs, observing, then you'll actually apply it to the canvas and strengthen that observation. Again, apply your paint a little bit thicker, and if you have to mix your shade 2 or 3 times, don't stress about the exact same shade. So again, you can see that we did fill in that shape on the traceable. When we start putting colors on top of this, this is where you're going to pause the video a little bit more and recognize the shape. So here we're moving into the direct purple, moving right below that. I am using student grade paint, so student grade paint is a bit on the transparent side, and that's why my purple and even the mixture earlier has a little bit of transparency to it. Likely you are using student grade paint as well, and you might be encountering the same thing. So a few things that you can do until you move up to artist grade paint, which is nicer, but it's also a little more expensive. When you're working with your student grade paint, you can apply your paint thicker, or you can apply a couple of layers. So if you even want to let this dry and go through the video again and apply the layers a second time, you'll have more opaque coverage. So just a few options for you. So you can see we've got the purple on the bottom. Now we're going to move into some blue. Just using that flat brush and the direct blue, we're painting right on top of the purple, and that purple paint is still a little bit wet. So there is a little bit of mixing while I'm applying it on the canvas. And again, just pause the video. Notice the weird abstract shape that it makes, how close it might be to another shape, and just mimic that to the best of your ability. I do consider these blobs and just abstract shapes, so again, it does not have to be perfect. This is going to be one of those things that when you look at your painting from a distance, you're going to be like, oh, those are the shadows that I just added. But up close, it may look kind of weird. So trust the process, keep on painting, take that progress photo. Now we're going to move to white with a little bit of blue and then a little bit of red. We're going to make a kind of a light lavender, cool lavender color. And you can play with the shade. It doesn't have to match exactly what I'm doing. But again, starting with that white, adding some blue, and then adding a little bit of purple. I am still using the small flat brush. Here we go. I had a feeling I was going to switch over to the pointy brush soon. So with this tight of space, you do want to use a smaller brush and you want to kind of play with your pressure. So light pressure, exhale as you touch the brush to the canvas, and we're going to fill in this distant mountain on the horizon line. And on this one, I do want you to overlap those traceable lines. And again, if you have to mix your color, that white with blue with a little bit of purple, if you have to mix it a second time and your color's lighter or darker than the first time, totally okay. It's actually to your benefit to have a little bit of color variety in your painting. And it helps you kind of get away from the idea that it has to be perfect or it has to look exactly like what you see on the screen. All right, and again, if you reshape the mountain, maybe your mountain becomes a little bit wider or taller, or maybe it has a little different top of the mountain range than what's on here. That's okay. Embrace it. We are filling in all that space. And another good spot to take a progress photo. All right, and we're still using that pointy brush. Now I'm going to add a little bit more red to the mixture, so it kind of warms it up a little bit. It's going to be similar to the shade that we did for that far mountain, but just slightly darker, or slightly a little more blue, or slightly a little more red. You can be the call for that. But basically, I want to make sure that there's a 2-shade difference between that far mountain and then the space that we're filling in here. You're doing a great job. If you are holding your breath, remember to exhale, remember to breathe. I do like to consider this adult kindergarten, and it's just your guys' time away from the rest of the world, away from technology, away from your phone, aside from your progress photos. And here we're actually adding a little bit more blue to the same mixture, still in that same family of the color we were using from the beginning for that distant mountain. But now it's just a little bit more blue, a little bit darker as we're moving down the canvas. And on a side note, when you do paint a landscape painting, when you look off towards the horizon and that mountain line, or even just that horizon line, it's usually a little hazy because it's so far away. You can't see sharp detail. And sometimes it may feel like the horizon line blends into the sky. And then we have sharper details for the things that are closer to us, and that's called the foreground. So just a little bit of landscape information as you're filling this in. So here you can see where I grabbed some purple, filling in the remaining space, blending that into that blue a little bit. Just kind of filling in that rest of that canvas space for this hiking summit that you would see when you reach the saddle of a mountain or the top of a mountain on your hiking trail. Being able to look out over the valley into the beautiful depth of the landscape and the horizon. All right, so take your progress photo. We're going to take a break here and let the painting dry. And I want you to just kind of notice how you feel. Hopefully, you're a little more relaxed. Hopefully, you're enjoying the process. And you can take a break and watch the little Paint Your Pet ad I have, or just fast forward the video. I'll catch you on the next step. So I want to invite you to take my Paint Your Pet class. And if you've never painted, this is a perfect class for you. It's great to relax. I have in-person classes, also online classes, and it's amazing what you learn when you paint something you love. So check out Paint Your Pet course and check out the discount code for 10% off. It's always great to create with your hands. And like I said earlier, I have in-person and online workshops. You can paint your pet or favorite animal. You just can't paint a human in my class. And it's going to be fun because you will impress your pet and yourself. My steps are very easy and logical to follow, whether it's the in-person or the online course. So here you're going to see some of my favorite photos to receive from my students. And it's going to be the photos of the pets and their painting. And you can see that the pets are super proud and super honored that their human painted their portrait and did such a great job. So definitely check out the Paint Your Pet class when you are ready to kind of take your skills to the next level. Now let's get back into painting. I do want you to look at your painting from a distance and just kind of notice how it looks. We are going to kind of get that silhouette of the hiking summit on this right-hand side with the flat brush and black paint. If you do want to switch out colors, maybe do more of the red rock colors or browns or yellows, whatever you want, please feel free to switch out this color. Now we are filling in this remaining space. Take your time. It's not a rush. Apply your paint a little bit thicker. We don't want any of that canvas space showing through by the time we're done with this step. Now, when you reach the edges, it is okay if you overlap that background area that we were doing earlier a little bit, and take your time when you're going on the edge of that cliff. You do want to kind of create a nice smooth line. So if you're finding that maybe as you apply your brush stroke, kind of a choppy brush stroke, and you can see the texture of the canvas, you've got two options. Apply your paint thicker or add a little bit of water to your paint to give it a little more fluidity, and it'll fill in those little textured areas. Play with both, find what works for you and what feels comfortable. If you need to switch down to the pointy brush as you get to the edges, please feel free to do that. Take your time. Enjoy the process. All right, good spot for a progress photo. And here you can see where I did add a little bit of water, and I am using the pointy brush, and I'm going to start doing some of the outlines on those mountain ridges. This is completely optional. If you do not want to do this, you do not have to. I do like to do this step in my video tutorials, especially since I teach first time beginner painters. Sometimes when we do these outlines, it just helps kind of clean up some of your area. And for my first time painters, this is a nice tool to be able to use to just kind of clean up the edges as you get more and more comfortable with using the brush, doing those edges, with applying the paint. So again, if you don't want to do this, you don't have to. As you are doing this, please remember to breathe. I am asking for small lines at this point, so I'm going to give a few tips and pointers. If your hand is shaky, exhale as you touch the brush to the canvas, and this will steady out your hand. While you're using the pointy brush, I want you to hold that brush almost perpendicular to the canvas, almost at a 90-degree angle, so you're using just the end, just the tip of the brush. And kind of like a pencil, just use the last 2 millimeters of that tip to draw your line. Okay, so remember to breathe and exhale as you touch the brush to the canvas, and keep that light pressure with that brush almost perpendicular to the canvas. If you happen to have some skinny and some wider lines, just embrace it for where you're at for today's painting. If you need to see into the details that I'm doing closer, pause the video, snap a screenshot, and then zoom in so you can see some of those details. Utilize the cool tech that we do have available, but also realize when you need to step away from the tech and create something with your hands like me to. But again, utilize all of this to just get better and more comfortable. So here we're going to draw the little figure, and it literally is a stick figure. I do recommend that you practice this on a scrap sheet of paper before you do this on canvas. Remember to exhale as you touch the brush to the canvas. Again, this is just a stick figure. So a circle for a head, a little dash mark for the body, little dash marks for the leg and the arm. You are welcome to make this more complex, more detailed if you like. And if you don't like using the brush, please feel free, let your painting completely dry, and then use a Sharpie marker or even a brush pen. You do not have to use every single thing I use in the video or all my suggestions. Use what works for you. So another spot to take a progress photo. I do recommend letting this dry We're going to use white paint and very abstractly break up some of this space and add some highlight. So again, I'm using light pressure with the brush. It doesn't have to be pure white every time, just kind of dragging it through, breaking up the space. Breathe, relax. It's sloppy. It does not have to be perfect. Um, Again, pause that video, take that screenshot, and zoom in closer if you want to be able to see some of these details a little bit better. Now here, I am going to put in a little sun, kind of right over that far distant mountain, and then I'm going to put a few little highlights on the mountains as the sun is setting, it's kind of kissing the tops of those mountains. So it is just pure white, putting a little circle um, right over that distant horizon line, and then just putting a few little dots here and there on top of each of these mountain ranges. And when you look at this painting from a distance, it's going to be pretty amazing with these white highlights, how it draws your eye in to look at sunset. So great job today. Please keep painting, adding anything that you want to this. I'm really proud of you for taking time out of your day. Thanks for hanging out with me for a little bit. Please do not wait too long to do your next painting. Try to find a creative outlet on a monthly, if not weekly basis, strictly for the fact of how relaxed you feel right now. Okay. I look forward to painting with you again. Thanks so much for taking time out of your day and getting creative. You did an amazing job. I'm very proud of you. Please send me photos of your artwork or tag me at Paint with Lovejoy or send me an email. And when you're done with my YouTube videos, definitely check out the Paint Your Pet course. Um, you can paint as many pets as you want in the time frame for the online or come see me in person. Until next time.